Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the Cross Stitching Runner, and welcome to my channel. This is a particularly special episode where I've actually just gone past my first year Flosstube anniversary. So this is going to be a two-part episode where the first part is going to be all about the stuff that I've learned over the last 12 months or so as being a Flosstube creator, and I guess some of the things I've learned along the way as being an avid watcher of Flosstube as well. And then the second part is going to be, I guess, a bit about the projects that I've worked on over the last 12 months. And I guess to some extent it's a little bit like a whip parade, but I guess just me also taking a little bit of stock of seeing what sort of plans I had intended for and how much of that I really didn't end up sticking with, and then I guess what plans did end up sticking. And so that's I guess the general overview of sort of what we're going to be all about today, and I guess the next part as well. And before I really get in, it would be a proper Flosstube episode if I fumbled my words, and also acknowledge I guess all new and returning subscribers. Thank you very much. And I'm also similar to the last episode as well, wanting to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples in which I am filming this episode on. So this particular episode and the following parts for this Flosstube anniversary are going to be filmed on the Yuin and Ngunnawal countries in Australia, which is the Yuin country is the Malul Bay, Eurobodalla area of the south coast in New South Wales in Australia, and Ngunnawal country is largely made up of Canberra and some of its surrounding regions. And so I'm wanting to acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging, and I want to, I guess, acknowledge any indigenous peoples who may be watching today. So thank you all very much for bearing with me and actually sticking with me, especially with all the returning subscribers and returning viewers. If you've stuck with me for the last 12 months and a few weeks, months, thank you. Thank you so much. It was something that I wasn't really anticipating. So thank you very much. And I guess this sort of leads into the first thing that I've learnt with Flosstube is Flosstube, I guess, especially over the last few years when I've been watching it and a little bit with participating as a creator, has been the power of shoutouts and what that can do for creators and their channels in terms of how that can start boosting subscribers, how it can boost comments and engagement and that side of things, and that it can start to influence the I guess bringing in other people who might be interested in this type of content. And I know there's definitely lots of other things that factor into it, but that's something that I've just found with Flosstube especially, that when I first started watching it a few years ago, that we as a community we're very much about trying to acknowledge other people we've been influenced by and watching, or who we are watching, and the people who have enabled us in terms of the episodes that we watch, but also more about the products we purchase and whether it be the flosses or the fabrics that we're purchasing, the patterns, the kits, the the tools of the trade, the everything that factors in our craft and what we love about it, and telling each other about different retreats that are happening, or the retreats that we've been to that then inspire other events that may happen. So that's where I've definitely found that as a community, the power of a shout out actually helps a lot, and it's been a really cool thing, because I've definitely gone and checked out other people's channels as a result of the people I'm watching saying, oh, by the way, go have a look at this person, go have a look at that person. So throughout this particular episode, and potentially future episodes as well, I'm going to try and incorporate that a little bit into my episodes, and saying, oh, by the way, I saw on such and such as Flosstube, this is who I saw, this is what I learned and what I think is pretty cool, and that kind of thing. So that's been, I guess, one of the main things that I've learned so far, and that our phases of shouting out tends to come and go. That's one of the things that I've definitely found. And since I've been a creator of Flosstube, I've definitely found the ebb and flow of how many views an episode will get compared with how many subscribers I'll get. So to put into context, I've found that the subscribers and view numbers are also impacted by what else is happening in the world. So there might be Christmas holidays or Thanksgiving in some countries, or there might be, here in Australia, our summer holidays or Easter or something to that effect. And we then have time to create Whip Parade videos, and one of my earlier videos that really went gangbusters was an episode about my Whip Parade and some progress that I've been doing towards the end of last year, if not early this year. And that to date has probably been my most successful episode in terms of the amount of views that has gotten. So by last count, I think it has gotten about 1,800 views, or 1.8 thousand views, and that to me is just phenomenal. It's something that I haven't been able to consistently get since, and it's something that's been pretty cool and awesome. And I've then just trying to be thinking since then, what can I do for my episodes to get that kind of number again, to get that rush of, oh my gosh, people are enjoying that episode and watching it, and hopefully getting inspiration for projects they want to work on as well. And I've definitely come to find that as much as I'll still compare myself with other people, other Flosstubers who might have been doing this for many years, or other people who may only have a couple of episodes out, or less than 10 episodes out, but they'll have hundreds and thousands of subscribers more than I do. And historically I've gotten a bit down in the dumps and gone, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have that many subscribers? And I think there's so many different factors that feed into it, and that's where I can't get upset about it, because it's like, no, it's I'm happy for those people that already have so many subscribers, and I watch their episodes and I can see why they have those that many subscribers already, because there's it's a lot about people's personalities, and that in terms of these videos we're really only seeing just a small snippet and insight to a person's life. And I found that some people who just have this really engaging personality. That's something that can never be taught, because that is something unique to every person, and it's near impossible to teach someone how to be like someone else, because as much as you may be able to copy their image, and copy their mannerisms and the way they speak and such, there will always just be something about that original person that will always be unique to them, that you'll never be able to mimic or imitate. And that, I think, is something so unique and wonderful and special about our community, because we have such a diverse group of people who have all come together for the love of cross stitch and embroidery and sharing our knowledge, and wanting to show each other what we're working on. And that's what I love. So I found that, at least for my channel, I'm floating around the 188 subscription mark, and I'm okay with that. I need to be okay with that. And it's something where I remind myself that it's more about the journey, and rather than trying to get to a particular destination, because in the world of Flosstube, there is no finite or dead end number that we're going to reach, and once we reach that number, that's it. Which is so wonderful about the world of the internet and the world of YouTube, because we will always be able to find new content. We'll always be able to share new things, and so the more people who become part of our community, the more people who may be interested in engaging with us, and vice versa. So that's been pretty cool. And I guess going on to that side of things, we've also got the other thing that I've learnt, I guess more as an observer with our community in terms of Flosstube, has been craftivism. And craftivism has really been something that I've become aware of perhaps in the last 12 months maximum. And craftivism is a word that I especially picked up from Michelle Bendy Stitchy, and she's been in part of Flosstube for many years now, and she definitely is a craftivist. So a craftivist, my understanding is that we express our activism through the world of craft, and craft in terms of knitting, crocheting, scrapbooking, cross stitch, quilting. It could be any form of craft. They're just the tip of the iceberg of what I can immediately think of. So anything that you think of as being crafty and creative, I mean, cake decorating or cooking or anything that you can think of, like metalwork, woodwork, anything that is a creative expression. It can be in the form of writing music, playing music, singing, anything really. It is, like especially in the world of music, for example, over the years, many countries have got songs and plays that express that artist's unhappiness with the state of the world at the time. So there are songs that I can think of in Australia where we've got songs about people not liking the Vietnam War, for example, or people being, I guess, in the world of cross stitch, wanting to show support for the people in Ukraine and the war that's happening there at the moment, and the way of the world there. Another component, especially now that we're in the month of June, it's Pride Month. So celebrating and acknowledging the LGBTQI plus community, and that's where, and in terms of our world of cross stitch and Flosstube, is D20 D20 Stitches. I hope I've gotten that name. I will double check that name, and if I've gotten it wrong, I'll have the caption at the bottom of the screen to show what their Flosstube channel is. So I'm a subscriber to Dee's channel, and I love their channel. Just in terms of the work that they're showing us, and also I love that Dee is sharing with us their personal experiences of being part of the queer gay community, and the LGBTQI plus community, and helping to educate us on how we can support their community, and people who are like Dee, and also I love the flag, the colours, everything. It's wonderful. So I've definitely found in our Flosstube community that we're definitely embracing the patterns that are created by Dee and their creative partner in crime, so to speak. And then there's also things like the pandemic, that dreaded C word that has been floating around for a couple of years now, where I've definitely noticed some cross-stitch patterns that have been released, either as small little patterns that people can stitch, or the samplers and such that are connected to the pandemic, and acknowledging just it being such a significant part of our history, and that we're living through it, which is also reminding me of I guess here in Australia, what for me sort of kicked off the last few years of unsettled rest, of the Australian Black Summer of 2019-2020, and the outpouring of love and support that has come from the cross-stitch community, and the various patterns that got created and released either as free charts or free patterns and kits, or even as patterns that we could purchase, and the proceeds or everything about the fee that you pay for that pattern going towards the people who are either fighting the fires, or who are living through that natural disaster. So that's where, as stitchers, we've definitely embraced the craftivism side of things, and I've found, especially with Michelle Bindi, she's definitely being vocal about encouraging everyone to not just talk about the craft, the activism side of things, but to actually go out and either donate your money to where you can, or to participate in events that support Ukraine, or support the LGBTQI plus community, or anything that you're passionate about, that can help raise awareness and support the people in positive ways. So just looking at my notes, the power of storytelling. That has actually just been one of the other things that I think makes people unique, and why some people have more subscribers than others, and the whole itchy nose thing when filming. I didn't know if that was a real thing, and it so is. It is very much that, and that's just one of the nuances of filming and lighting. That's the other thing as well. So 3 things: the power of storytelling, lighting, and an itchy nose. So at the moment, with where I am filming right now, the east is on my right, your left, and the sun is slowly setting. It's about 20 past 3 in Australia, Eastern Standard Time, and I'm sort of leaning forward just a little bit because depending on where I'm sitting, the sun will get in my eyes a little bit, and that is also potentially playing havoc with this episode. So whether or not this episode gets uploaded or not, we'll have to wait and see. So the power of storytelling, I think, is something that can be learnt, and I found with my dad, I've inherited his ability for storytelling to some extent, and it's definitely an art, and it's something that I feel that I've lost and I'm slowly trying to embrace again. And it potentially explains why I waffle at times, why I at times feel like I struggle to stick to not a deadline to some extent, but not a deadline, but stick to the straight and narrow, so to speak, without embellishing and adding extra details and such. And this is where I think of another Flosstuber called Chris Cross-Stitch. So Chris has been part of our community, I think, for a bit over a year as well, and he is a fantastic storyteller. And I think a part of that is him, how he is, and I think it also has a lot to do with his life in terms of being part of the performing arts industry for many years. And I'm sure that just being around so many creative people in that way, in the theatre and other things that he's done, it has had a positive impact on why I at least find him so engaging and so interesting to watch. And for me, I'm not worried about how much stitching he does. Everyone has different levels of how much stitching we're able to do based on our lifestyles and such. And he does such a wonderful job of sharing parts of his life with us and being so interesting to watch. I love his episodes, and if by chance you haven't had an opportunity to go and check him out, I think that you should. And similar for Michelle Bendy, I think I love watching her episodes as well. I've been watching her channel for quite a while now, and I find her to be absolutely awesome as well. She's got a very different way of expressing her views and sharing with us parts of her life and what she's working on. So it's, the storytelling is definitely a unique thing and something that can be practiced as well. So the itchy nose thing, where does that come from? Seriously, it's a bit like for anyone here who has the opportunity to work from home, it's a bit like when you're on a video conference call or just a general phone call where all of a sudden, if you have pets, they hear you start talking and then they want to come and be involved with that particular call. And for me, it's almost like there are parts of our body that realise that we're talking, that we're doing something and potentially filming, and therefore need to be involved. They need to be acknowledged. So in some circumstances, I think there might be a little bit of our itchy head happening. There might be the nose that needs a bit of attention, and there is just something magical about it. And that said, I do feel like I'm about to sneeze, so my apologies if it does happen, because I'm talking about sneezing. That sneeze has gone away, but it may come back, so my apologies on that one. So there's also, what else is going on? There's, I guess, the different phases we go through as part of our stitching. I know that the phases can mean a variety of things for us. So the phases can be the types of projects we feel called to work on. The phases could be the different challenges that we want to participate in to help keep us motivated with projects that we might be struggling a little bit with, but we know we want to get finished. So there's, for example, the monthly challenges that might be happening with different Facebook groups or Instagram groups and such that might be happening, and the hashtags that would be connected to it. And then there'd also be, say, year-long challenges that can happen, such as stitch-alongs that different creators have put together, either because they have designed a particular pattern and other people have naturally just jumped on board and said, hey, I really want to stitch that with you, or there'll be certain designers who have been in contact with Flosstubers like you and I perhaps, or viewers, and they've said, look, hey, I recognise that you're a pretty influential person right now. I really like your style. Would you be interested in starting a stitch along? Or as some people I've watched over the years have said, this is going to be a start along, not necessarily a stitch along, because I'll get to that really soon, just because of how life can be. But I've definitely found that there's been a variety of stitch alongs, which has been fantastic, and it's something where I might eventually participate in as time goes on. I think I've got so many projects going on at the moment that I've not felt called yet to actually to participate in any just yet, but there might be a design that comes up that I just feel compelled to stitch, whereas like I don't care who, what, when, where, what's involved. I want to be part of it. So that's just been something I've definitely observed, and I've got notes here with me as well, and I've participated in Stitch Mania, for example, and Stitch Go. So last year, I think perhaps the year before, because I don't remember showing too much with Stitch Mania in my Flosstube episodes, but I do remember blogging about it, and that was a lot of work, just with all the different pictures to then incorporate them into my writing. And I think I found Stitch Mania to be stressful because I love the idea of organising, and planning out the different projects that I wanted to be part of and wanted to use and do, and then getting organised for it, life happening, and then life. It happened. It was an event. It happened. As a result, I did end up downloading onto my phone one of those free spinning wheel apps that I've uploaded some of my, so to speak, some of my different projects that I wanted to work on, and I found the wheel to be useful, but I knew it, for me it was like, yeah, okay, it gave me a bit of an idea of direction I could head towards in, but if a particular project came up and was like, I really don't feel like stitching that, that's where I found that it fell to the wayside a little bit, where it was a nice concept using the wheel, but it didn't quite work for me. And I do love the concept of Whipgo, not Stitch Go, Whipgo. Whipgo is awesome. I definitely participated in it last year. I was ambitious with what I wanted to achieve, and with Whipgo, I have chosen not to participate in it this year, largely because I know that life happens, and my goals of what I'm wanting to achieve with this year so far has changed quite a lot. So I think what I love though with Whipgo is that the concept is simple, and that we can make it as challenging as we want it to be. So I've absolutely loved that, and this is where for this year I've done a similar thing with my own challenge of trying to get some projects finished, and that's where I've got my own AFL footy challenge, stitching challenge, and I must admit I'm struggling with that now because I think life is getting in the way a little bit. I've not anticipated certain teams in the competition doing so well, and resulting in me working on certain projects that have needed the attention, but ones that I didn't expect to pay so much attention to. And it's a bit like being told that you can't have that piece of chocolate cake, and then that's the only thing that you can think about. You want that piece of chocolate cake. And it's a bit like that in the cross-stitching world, I think, where we are told that you must only focus on this one project when you're used to working on multiple projects. And for me at least, that is one thing that would drive me a little bit batty. It was like, but there's so many others calling to me. And that's where I've admired the two of the people from the Sunshine Stitches. Their names will come to me soon. So I do remember last year one of the challenges that they did for themselves, and I think that it was actually a year-long thing that I think a few other people were participating in as well, of no new starts. And that was a pretty interesting challenge, I think, where I think as long as you've got enough projects to get you through, if you're wanting to work on multiple projects, that's wonderful. And I think as long as I'm not restricted with being able to purchase other patterns, that's fine, as long as I don't start them in that particular year or particular time frame. That could work. Sheila from the Sunshine Stitches, and EJ. They're the two people I was trying to think of. And they're actually the Sunshine Stitches in terms of Gary, Sheila and EJ. I regularly watch them, and admittedly I have been lax in the last few months being able to dedicate some time to sit down and watch them, but I love watching them, and they're entertaining people. They're wonderful. And actually Gary has been one of the people who has enabled me with some of the patterns that I have purchased. I haven't started yet. Some of the Halloween themed ones, and like the Headless Horseman, for example, that one looked pretty awesome, and I did purchase the pattern. I don't know what I've done with it, so I'm going to need to purchase it again. So tools of the trade. Why I haven't had this further up the list is beyond me, and I'm going to have to redo this episode. I'm just noticing the shifting of the light, going dark, light, dark, light. So my apologies. So tools of the trade. What I need to admit, for a while I really struggled to get on the bandwagon of project bags. I really don't get them. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. For ages, I really could not understand the love affair that many people have with project bags. I tend to just use whatever I've got available to me, just to sort of keep the stuff together. And since I've been travelling to the coast a little bit more, I now have an appreciation for project bags, and especially the project bags that have a part of the front as a clear panel. That I'm starting to come on board with that. And needle minders I got on board pretty quick with, for well before doing Flosstube, actually. In terms of just being an avid viewer of Flosstube, I have become if I can talk properly, needle minders. all I can say is needle minders, and I love them. I absolutely love needle minders. So Pattern Keeper, if you are a returning viewer and you've watched quite a few of my episodes already, you'll have heard me talk quite a lot about the app Pattern Keeper for full coverage projects especially. I cannot talk enough about how wonderful that app is and how much of a game changer it is to our world of cross stitch, especially for full coverage projects. And I just love that app. I still use some paper-based projects. I still use some paper patterns for my projects, and for full coverage ones, for me it was like, oh my gosh, why did I not come across Pattern Keeper sooner? It has made a world of difference. And with one of my friend who I catch up with on a regular basis for cross stitch, she's very much a paper based pattern person, and she's heard about Pattern Keeper, and I've definitely suggested to her that with the help of her husband we can get the app onto an Android device, and we can get whatever patterns she's working on installed and uploaded into the app, and it will make her life 10 times easier. And funnily enough, she said that having a physical pattern helps her with her memory. So she's not the kind of person that will rush out and do crossword puzzles or anything like that. The act of having to remember what symbol goes with what colour thread helps her with her memory thing. And so I was like, yeah, I absolutely acknowledge where she's coming from on that. And the funny thing is, she's the same age as me, give or take a few months, and that's where I guess I can see as we get older that keeping our memory going and whatever works, hey, that's totally cool. So what else are we at? Q snaps and Lowry stands. I've not been able to get on board with those just yet. I can see the appeal. For me, I'm always a hoop person. So various sized hoops, yep. That for me is, I guess, what I started out with, and I can see the appeal to do with the two-handed stitching, and that's where I've got a stand, and I don't use it as much as what I would love to, where it's got the over-the-top bright light that I love, and it's also got a component that I can attach my hoop to and all the rest, and that's where I'd be able to do the two-handed stitching, and that's something I'm really wanting to get into the habit of, and that is going to be a trick I'd love to master, because I have definitely noticed how much quicker people have been able to stitch as part of having that type of stand, and I'm envious. I want to be able to improve my skills on that, because overall, and I'm going to sort of summarize just a little bit now, what I've found overall with Flosstube and being a creator in our community is the confidence it has given me in other areas of my life. So in my professional world, I am required to do a lot of presenting to camera in terms of the training that I need to present, and some of the information guides that I need to put together, the little short videos that I need to start putting together for work to help people with certain elements of their work. And I appreciate I'm sounding quite vague right now, but I am curious as to whether other people have found that as well, in terms of being a Flosstube creator, if you have had found any additional benefits to other parts of your life in terms of being perhaps more confident with the way you communicate with people, or I guess being more confident in talking about what you do, talking about the projects you're working on, talking about cross stitch a bit more, because that's one thing I have found with some people, that they'll start saying that they're becoming part of Flosstube because they don't have other people in their lives who share that similar passion and similar interests in cross stitch, and so they've stumbled across our world, and I'm so thankful that they have, and I'm thankful that I'm part of this community as well. So I guess they're just a few of the things that I've found as a Flosstube creator, and things that I still have to learn, especially when it comes to editing. We can make it as simple or as complicated as we like, and I think that is part of the wonderful creative journey that we can do. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to say thank you very much to anyone who has sat through this and been willing to listen to what I've had to say. I hope you found some of what I've had to say useful, and I guess I'm also curious about any things that you've found useful as part of being in the Flosstube community. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything that I've contributed. It can be other people that you've learnt from as well. So I'm definitely curious about what you've learnt as part of being in the Flosstube community. So thank you very much, and I will see you all very soon. See you later.